It's great to see you here today. Labor Day weekend, August 31st, last day of August. We are in right now. So let me just see you as you're coming on into the room. Thanks so much. I was just reloading my PowerPoint as a PDF because I did that earlier and then I couldn't find it. So I've got it. So anyway, as you're coming on in, I will just give a few seconds. All of you who are coming in right now, you're used to being with me, so I'm going to go ahead and give my intro. Rebecca Montrone, Wondrous Roots. I am a holistic healthcare practitioner with a degree in holistic nutrition. I also am an herbalist. We have a business here in Keene, New Hampshire called Wondrous Roots. And I see clients in personal consultation, private consultation for all kinds of health problems. I work with nutrients, supplements, diet, lifestyle, bioidentical hormones, herbal things. Also have a wonderful line of skincare products, which I added to just this week. I'm going to explain that a little bit in a second. And anyway, so I have all kinds of herbal products. So we have an arthritis plus, an anti-inflammatory, digestive bitters, liver and gallbladder, kidney stone, you name it. So as an herbalist, liquid extracts that are combined in formulas are also available separately. If you go to my website and my medicinal database, my medicinal herb database, you can find on my website, you can learn more about various medicinal herbs and what they do if you're interested in that kind of thing. We are open here 9:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. We will be closed this Monday, which is Labor Day, and reopening on Tuesday. Our number here is 603-439-2603. You can also reach out to me via either of our websites, wondrousroots.org or shopwondrousroots.com. And I will be happy to get back with you. Those emails come just to me, and I'm the one who sees them and responds. Okay, so I think that about says what I want to say for my intro. And I've been doing kind of a series lately on different health topics health topics. And kind of putting together some official PDF or Zoom, PowerPoint presentations that I do here on the Zoom. I do it in my PDF form because then I can access and share all the many links that are in there. Then I post those to my research file pages on my website, wondrousroots.org. And you can go and see those. I'll just go over that a little bit as well. If you're watching on Rumble or YouTube and you've never seen any of my videos before, in the description down underneath the video, you will see a link to information that is supplemental to this video. And take advantage of that. I hope you do. Okay, so I was telling you about a new skincare product. So, also, I will say, and I didn't put it in my newsletter because I'm just going to send out an announcement a little bit later, but it's already in function on my website right now, is we're having a Labor Day free shipping from now until midnight on Labor Day, Monday, September 2nd. So I was like to kind of on the holidays, kind of kick that out as a special. Thank you. And so again, free shipping in the United States, in the continental United States. And then also, that's what I wanted to say about that. So anyway, you don't have to have any special coupon or anything. That just works. It will be offered to you if you are in the right zone, which is the United States. Okay. So, so I'm going to go get it. So hang on one second. I'm going to go grab a bottle. Hang on. Thank you for waiting for me. Okay, so I have, this is kind of hard to see with the light glare, but Wondrous Healthy Skin Spray. So what happened was one of my clients asked me about, he has blepharitis. So he's got kind of eyelids that are sort of, I know, I wanted to tell you, if you want to participate, You can raise your hand, Joe. I can see you're with us today. So if you want to speak, please do raise your hand. I'll be watching. I'll call on you to talk. Anybody else can do that too. And then also you can type into the chat, or you can type into the Q&A. And that's how we'll do it. And I will try to keep my eyes open and make sure I'm paying attention. So I had a client who asked me about his eyelids. He has blepharitis. So he has like inflamed, irritated eyelids. They call that blepharitis. Bleph stands for eyelid, and itis stands for inflammation. So, and so his doctor had recommended these OptiCleanse little wipes or something to cleanse his eyes, to get the crust off and stuff like that. And so he emailed me like a snapshot of the back ingredients and said, what do you think of this? Do you think this is something good for my eyes? So it looked a little chemically to me. So I just did a little investigation. What are people using in the natural world of natural things to cleanse the eyelids? And I found out about hypochlorous acid, which I had never heard about before. So I'm going to share my screen for a second here. And well, I'll go to my page and just show you the product page. Because I found out it's for a lot more than simply, there we go. So let me share. Whoops. Share. I don't know what I'm sharing, so stop my share and try to share again. Okay, yeah. So there it is. So I'm going to talk about it here, just kind of in my description. So these are quotes from different places of information I found. There are plenty of acids to pick from in the skincare world, but one buzzy one has been standing out from the bunch: hypochlorous acid. From healing wounds to reducing harmful bacteria, this buzzworthy ingredient fights off acne, rosacea, and more. Its disinfecting properties are even 100 times stronger than bleach, which makes you kind of freak out. Like you're like, okay, but it's a bleach. It's a form of bleach that the body makes in the white blood cells. I went on to find out. Hypochlorous acid is a multi-use ingredient. It can be found naturally in the body, particularly in the white blood cells, to help fight against foreign bodies and bacteria. So this is something, it's a substance that we make ourselves in the body to fight harmful stuff. It's made up of hydrogen, oxygen, and chloride, offering antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory benefits, explains blah, 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 this person. This anti-inflammatory and antibacterial benefits address skin conditions such as acne, folliculitis, eczema, and more. One of the popular reasons people turn to hypochlorous acid in their skincare routine is to treat acne. It's gaining a lot of buzz in the skincare community for being a superhero in the war against acne, says Rachel Lozina. If you go to my page, you can see these different things. Like you can read more about that there. Okay, so and then hypochlorous acid has also been found to be effective against candida overgrowth on the skin. So somebody was asking me this week about somebody in their family that was diagnosed with a candida rash under the arm. And so I looked to see if that would be effective against that, and sure enough. If you struggle with dry or sensitive skin, and acid is probably the last type of ingredient you'd think about adding to your skincare routine. Many exfoliating acids can be harsh on sensitive types and can even cause more reactions. Not hypochlorous acid, though. This hero ingredient was originally used in medical settings for its powerful disinfectant properties, but in recent years, it's made its way into the mainstream skincare products as formulators have discovered its ability to dramatically soothe a variety of skin ailments. These product pros say it can calm inflammation from eczema, psoriasis, and rosacea, to name a few. So I've got a good description about how to use there, and I'll just kind of describe that. But what I want to say about it is, I was first thinking, how do I add hypochlorous acid to, okay, so Connie is saying, I use AccuSoft lid scrubs. One of Connie is chiming in here, from Walmart. So I know what you're talking about. My doctor recommended these as I have drops put in my eyes every night due to glaucoma. I wonder if this is safe. I think they're safe, but they're just more chemically based. And this I like I'm not saying you can't use your soft lid scrubs. I mean, whatever. But I'm just saying this person was looking for something more natural. So this is what I found. And I like this because this you can use for I've been using this now 2 days in a row. I've used this on my face. So what you do is I use my Wondrous face wash and then I pat my face dry. Then I spritz my face with this and I rub it all in, my eyelids, everything, just rub it all in my neck and stuff like that. And you let that dry. And then, you can use a serum or you can use a moisturizer. I go on to use either my Wondrous skin cream or lotion. But you don't want to mix the two together like in one substance, because of the effect of the hypochlorous acid can negate, say, like in our Wondrous skin serum, you've got things in there, antioxidants and things, and it can negate those if they're mixed together. And so I like it to use it as a layer. So you just do it. And it's really excellent for, as I was saying, they use it as like a sanitizer. You can use this also if you wanted a natural, spritz, like a hand sanitizer type thing, without chemicals and without all of that other stuff. It dries very nicely. It doesn't leave any it's very kind of soft and soothing. Yeah, if anything, so it doesn't dry your skin out or anything like that. If there's no alcohol or anything like that. So what they do is, this is actually made with salt and deionized water, and then it's processed with an electrical current that actually turns it into this hypochlorous acid. So the ingredients are super natural and they're not harmful at all. Very good for, say, your person, you feel like a sty, you're getting a sty or something like that. It's very good for turning that around. So anyway, I'm super excited about it. So check it out. You might want to give it a try. Again, acne, eczema, rosacea, psoriasis, eyelid care, folliculitis, candida rash, smooths the skin for wound healing. And you can put it right on an open wound without any harm. So very cool. You guys know I get really excited about this kind of thing. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to go, I know, Kathy. I thought of you, Dr. Kathy is saying, I've been trying for years to remedy the itchy skin under my eyebrows and above my eyelids. Can't wait to try it. And I knew exactly that you'd be right on this. Yeah, I think, and I just love the fact that it's like, I even had a woman walk in yesterday, and I don't ever like to point out somebody's, you don't want to say, like, I can see that your face is broken out, right? Because that's just what you need as a person with a skin issue. I can just remember, in the day of having pimples, somebody saying, oh, you've got a pimple on your forehead. And you're like, really? Like, you don't think I have a mirror? It's just like the last thing you should say to anybody. But, having this and knowing that when we talked before, she was looking for something to help with this. Of course, I said this was exactly the type of skin she had: rosacea with, obvious acne. Along with it, with rosacea often is acne, but it's a certain form. And I'm just like, wow. Again, it's like, if you can find something that works for a wide variety of things, very inexpensive, right? This is 4 ounces. I charge $14, and works, and is good for you. Like, you use this on babies' skin and rashes and things like that without any worry. So anyway, really good. And when you think about acid, right, you think acid. I think it does have a light, like, I don't smell it now, but when you spray it, it's got a very faint bleach smell. So you'd be like, oh my gosh, am I putting Clorox on my skin? No, you are not. Okay, you're making the bleach, the body's bleach is what you're making, is what you're using. Okay, so I hope that allays any fears. I'll be putting out a little newsletter with more information probably this weekend. I hate to clutter up people's inboxes, but weekends is sometimes the only time I have to do this stuff. And I have a lot more information that I want to get out to you besides what I'm doing on the Saturday webinar. And that's all I've been putting in my newsletters lately. So just bear with me. And if you don't want to see it, just delete it. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again. And let's see, go here, share, go to PDF, then get my participants so I can see you guys. And then do my chat so I can see what you have to say. And then I will try to make sure I keep track of any raised hands. Okay. All right. So melatonin, key to optimal health. Get this set up. So, I've talked about melatonin many times. I talked about it just recently when I was talking about cancer, because melatonin is a key thing that I like to use. And when I'm working with people for cancer, I recommend that they use to help improve all of that. And just see if I can get that done properly. That looks about right. So I wanted to really delve in. And again, you're going to be able to see, I'll share my screen here. Again, I have a melatonin page up here. Show you my new advances. Oh, you can see that that's there. But my melatonin page is here. It's been there for a while. It was one of the first ones I did. And then today, when I finished up with my my video and my PowerPoint presentation, I'll put those up here as well, and you'll be able to access those. Another file I just put up, because I've been talking about palmitoyl ethanolamide, so I want to do a program on that, but I also have a page up there talking about the different benefits. I've talked about palmitoyl ethanolamide for chronic pain and neuropathy, things like that, but you're going to find here that there's other things that it really helps with, such as neurodegenerative conditions, such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, gut issues, IBS, Crohn's, that kind of thing. So palmitoyl ethanolamide, really excited about that. So now I will go back here. So this is going to be really kind of technical, and I hope that doesn't put you off, because you're all used to that with me, and you're hungry for this kind of information, so, or you wouldn't be with me. So, but I think it's important to kind of lay some foundational things about common things that I talk about, but maybe don't explain extremely well. It's just kind of like an assumption, like an antioxidant or the mitochondria, things like that. And I just sort of talk about them as though we all get it. And I don't want to delve into things in too much depth, but I do want to cover some things that might make things a little bit more clear when we say how this works for something. It's fascinating to me. So melatonin is a hormone produced in the pineal gland, and that's deep in the brain, retina, in the eyes, the GI tract, and white blood cells, that is associated with sleep. Now, you might not be familiar with this, that it's made in the retina and the GI tract and white blood cells that are associated with sleep. So other tissues as well. And we're going to get into that, because that has to do with the mitochondrial melatonin, but we'll talk about that in a second. The amount of melatonin the body produces decreases as one ages, just like everything else we've been talking about. Glutathione levels decrease as one ages, right? DHEA levels, pregnenolone levels, these prohormones made that are so vital to anti-aging, and they decrease in their the amounts that we're making in our bodies as we age. And this, in very many cases, explains, in most cases, I would say, explains why we age or why we don't age well. I mean, we're going to age, we're going to lose these, no matter what we do, we are going to age, but we can age much more slowly if we just put back in there by routine on a daily basis, make sure we're putting those things back that we're starting to make less of. And that's like the secret. One of the big secrets of anti-aging is what goes missing. Let's put it back. Okay. Decreases as one ages and depends on the activity of an enzyme called serotonin N-acetyltransferase. The body's production of NAT, on the other hand, depends on its storage of vitamin B6. And I would like to just say about that, this is why things work together in a synergy many times, and I get it when I'm working with people. It's like, well, that seems to be like a lot of things. Can we just start with one thing? Like if I need this, but you need the critical cofactors, right? So for glutathione, you need the cofactors of selenium, and you need the cofactors of the B vitamins in the right forms. So things work together. They're interdependent on one another. And so it's very interesting. This is why, like, a lot of times when you see 5-HTP supplement 5-HTP is a precursor of melatonin, and it will be combined with vitamin B6. So the little clue there. Melatonin also appears in some foods like tart cherries, bananas, pistachios. Now here's a twist. Let's see if I can do this. Let's move it that way. Here's a twist. There are two types of melatonin. There are two types of melatonin in your body. So that's probably something you didn't know. The melatonin produced in your pineal gland, the blood, which transverses in the brain, which transverses into your blood, and subcellular melatonin produced inside your mitochondria. And if you want to see more about that there, when you have the PDF, when that's available, you can just click and check out more about that. But that's very intriguing. Melatonin is an ancient molecule. Now, let me just give a little side view on that. I have a creation view of science. I have a creation 6 days view of science. I have a view of fossils as being related to the worldwide flood. But whenever you're reading scientific information, you usually get the evolutionary stuff, a dogma, as though it were proven. And you'll read about mitochondria as being, as originating in like one cell bacteria. So we'll say mitochondria in the human body, they'll try to go on to say is because of evolution. And in the creation model, we say, no, it has to do with one creator who has great ideas that pertain to many different organisms. And why reinvent the wheel in every single organism? Why not use the same chemistry? So anyway, that's my take on science and all of that. But again, if you go and you read about this, you're going to find that this was, melatonin's been around for 200,000 years. And we know this because it was present in this bacteria. And that doesn't prove anything. But it makes people think, well, see, you read that sentence and you're like, well, that proves evolution. No, not so. But anyway, pineal melatonin levels display a circadian rhythm while tissue melatonin does not. So that right there tells you that melatonin has much more to do than regulating your sleep cycle. It's got many more uses in the body than simply that. While that is simply important, very important, you need to have your circadian levels of your wake and your sleep cycle regulated. If you're an insomniac, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's super critical. And it really, when you can't sleep well, it does affect all of your health. But that's what the pineal melatonin levels do, that are secreted by the pineal gland and enter the bloodstream, whereas the melatonin that is produced in the tissues of the body and are synthesized in the mitochondria and then perform all of their very works. It's the second form of melatonin, if you will. It's still melatonin is melatonin, but it is a melatonin that is made in the mitochondria. So here we have a lovely, beautiful view of microscopic mitochondria. So it's very important to have a good antioxidant at the level of the mitochondria. And melatonin happens to be located and is in fact synthesized in the mitochondria. Melatonin scavenges radicals that are generated, but it also stimulates something called sirtuin-3, which activates or deactivates superoxide dismutase, SOD, which is a very important oxidative enzyme. So we're going to get a little bit more into that. So here I have like compare and contrast. Melatonin produced in the pineal gland is highly rhythmic, depending on the light-dark cycle. This is not true for melatonin in mitochondria. It's not cyclic. It's not impacted by the light-dark environment. It may be affected by certain wavelengths of energy, but it's not affected by the light-dark environment. So blood levels are derived from the pineal gland, and this rhythm is very important for setting circadian rhythms. In other words, the function of that melatonin is quite different from the function of the mitochondrial produced melatonin. It sets the rhythm. Of course, there's always some scavenging by that melatonin. We're just about to get into the scavenging for free radical scavenging of melatonin functions. And it does do some of that, but that's not the melatonin that we're making the pineal gland that does the lion's share of that. The real scavenging is involved in the mitochondrial produced melatonin. The mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cells, and they are what take in nutrients and generate energy. Not all cells in the body have mitochondria, by the way. Fully mature red blood cells, for instance, have 0. And yet liver cells have about, each liver cell has about 2,000 mitochondria. So can be very varied depending on what's needed in throughout the body. So I did a little chart here, kind of differentiating. Pineal gland melatonin circulates in the bloodstream. It's highly rhythmic, depending on the light-dark cycle. It sets the circadian rhythm, the sleep-wake cycle in the body. And some free radical scavenging is done, but not close to that performed by the mitochondrial melatonin. Mitochondrial melatonin is synthesized within the mitochondria, works in collaboration with glutathione. There you go. The next highest antioxidant produced in the body, increases the activity of superoxide dismutase. The next, you might argue, highest antioxidant body, along with catalase. These powerful antioxidants quench the free radicals generated by mitochondrial energy. So here's the catch-22. We need our mitochondrial energy to be high and clipping right along in order to be healthy and youthful, and for everything to be functioning as it's supposed to. And yet, when that's happening, the mitochondria generate a large amount of free radicals. So the free radicals have to then be dealt with. So free radicals, when we say, oh, we're going to take these, we eat blueberries, they're high in antioxidants because it helps fight against free radicals. And free radicals are involved in many degenerative health conditions. So here you've got the mitochondria, which you need to really fuel to get cranking so that you're healthy, and yet in that process making free radicals as they do it. So I want to kind of just sort of go into what this whole free radical antioxidant thing is all about. So antioxidants and antioxidant is a general term for any compound that can counteract unstable molecules called free radicals, this red one here, that damage the DNA, cell membranes, and other parts of cells. Because free radicals lack a full complement of electrons, you see the electron missing here in the free radical molecule. They go about trying to steal electrons from healthy molecules. So they want to help themselves to your healthy cells. And so this, see, that's not good. Okay, so from other molecules and damage those molecules in the process. Antioxidants normalize free radicals by giving up some of their own electrons. So you've got antioxidants have more electrons and can go and donate an extra to patch up to fix the free radical molecule, if you will. And making this sacrifice, they act as a natural off switch to the free radicals. This helps break a chain reaction that can affect other molecules in the cells and other cells in the body, because this now becomes a free radical, and this one steals from another healthy cell to get it to you know. So this chain reaction of free radical damage. Okay. But it is important to recognize that the term antioxidant reflects a chemical property rather than a specific nutritional property. So that's important to recognize. Okay, so we say antioxidants are things like vitamin C in your oranges and vitamin E and in your walnuts and the antioxidants and the polyphenols present in blueberries and raspberries or whatever. There's plenty of antioxidant foods, but antioxidants are things that we create ourselves. The antioxidant free radical paradox. So free radicals are damaging. While free radicals are damaging by their very nature, they are an inescapable part of life. The body generates free radicals in response to environmental insults such as tobacco smoke, ultraviolet rays, and air pollution, but they are also a natural byproduct of normal processes in the cells. Like I was just talking about, the mitochondria actually, when they're working properly, are making free radicals. Now, free radicals are actually healing. They have a good purpose as well. When the immune system musters to fight intruders, for example, the oxygen it uses spins off an army of free radicals that destroy viruses, bacteria, and damage body cells in an oxidative burst. Some normal production of free radicals also occurs during exercise, and this appears to be necessary in order to induce some of the beneficial effects of regular physical activity, such as sensitizing your muscle cells to insulin. So that's can be so confusing. It's very paradoxical. You're like, wait a minute, aren't free radicals bad? Yeah, but free radicals are necessary and good. So this is like, if I go back to cancer and talk about how the glutathione, the antioxidant antioxidant cancer paradox. So one thing that's been very confusing in the world of the field of oncology for many decades is, what about antioxidants when we're doing chemotherapy and radiation? Because chemotherapy and radiation are work to kill a tumor based on the initiation of free radicals and killing the cancer, those free radicals going in and killing the cancer. And you're like, well, I mean, then why would you use antioxidants? Wouldn't that stop the chemotherapy and the radiation from killing the cancer? And the answer is no, because of that beautiful, wonderful free radical antioxidant cancer paradox, which is basically when you fill yourself with antioxidants such as glutathione, you're taking melatonin, it decreases the enrichment of the cancer cells with their antioxidants, their protection. In the case of glutathione, it takes the glutathione out of the cancer cells, enriches the cells that don't have cancer, so it protects them, shields them somewhat from the chemo and the radiation, and makes them less capable of becoming cancerous themselves anyway. So that's where we're coming from here. And the body, if it's given the right tools, knows how to manage this. So antioxidants are healing. Because free radicals are so pervasive, you need an adequate supply of antioxidants to disarm them. Your body cells naturally produce powerful antioxidants such as alpha lipoic acid, melatonin, glutathione, catalase, and superoxide dismutase. The beautiful thing about glutathione and superoxide dismutase is that they are antioxidants that while doing their work, do not in addition produce free radicals. So they're super. Alpha lipoic acid is fantastic because it's a antioxidant that also recycles other antioxidants such as vitamin C and vitamin E, and so makes those things last longer. Plants are full of compounds known as phytochemicals, many of which seem to have antioxidant properties as well. For example, after vitamin C has quenched a free radical by donating electrons to it, going back to our diagram there of the circles, a phytochemical called hesperetin, which is one of the bioflavonoids found in oranges and other citrus fruits, restores the vitamin C to its active antioxidant form. Okay, so it has donated an electron, but it is now restored and has its full number of electrons, basically. So it's very healthy and it can go out and do it again. When an antioxidant destroys a free radical, this antioxidant itself becomes oxidized. Therefore, the antioxidant resources must be constantly restored in the body. Thus, while in one particular system an antioxidant is effective against free radicals, in other systems, the same antioxidant could become ineffective. So we want to make sure we're getting our adequate daily intake of antioxidants. This is where antioxidants from food come in. Antioxidants from our diet, like the helping hand, play an important role in helping endogenous antioxidants, those ones we're making ourselves, for the neutralization of oxidative stress. The nutrient antioxidant deficiency is one of the causes of numerous chronic and degenerative pathologies. So this is why we say you have benefit if you are supplementing with antioxidants, because especially as we are in such a compromised environment when it comes to our health, all of the things that create and generate free radical damage in our bodies. It's just, as we were talking about before, pollutants and you name it. Each nutrient is unique in terms of its structure and antioxidant function. So moving on to melatonin in the mitochondria. So melatonin has established effects as an antioxidant as an antioxidant and free radical scavenger, both in vitro and in animal models. This is also evident in melatonin's prominent role in mitochondria, which is reviewed in the next section. Melatonin is synthesized taken up by and concentrated in mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria are also the major source of reactive oxygen species as a byproduct of mitochondrial oxidative metabolism. So again, you've got to fuel the mitochondria, and as the mitochondria are fueled, they're generating free radicals, which you now have to go after with antioxidants. So it's really important and really great for your mitochondria to be bathed in a constant supply of antioxidants. So and what's really great is when you supplement with melatonin, it is true. I'm going to flip really fast to probably one of my nearly last slides, but right here, and I'll come back to it too, but supplementing melatonin does replenish the mitochondrial stores. That's huge, because you could say, well, Becky, if I'm taking my melatonin supplement, is it just getting into my bloodstream and affecting the circadian clock? My sleep-wake cycle? No. If you supplement with melatonin, it can also enter cells and get into the mitochondria. And this is also very important. As you age, mitochondrial melatonin diminishes. If you supplement with melatonin, it will get into your mitochondria and, in fact, do what melatonin does: neutralize free radicals and protect the mitochondrial function. So just while we're on that subject, I wanted to get there and cover that. That kind of closes that up. Melatonin and glutathione, here we go. Melatonin recycles glutathione. So it's really good when I have clients taking glutathione and then also melatonin. You're getting more bang for your buck with your glutathione because melatonin recycles and reuses glutathione in the body. So in the human body, aside from having direct antioxidant effects, it also stimulates the synthesis of glutathione and other important antioxidants like superoxide dismutase and catalase. So again, these are things that we want to be high in the body. What's really interesting is when I was talking about adding magnesium to my eye drops. Magnesium, that's one of the big things that it does in the body, is it down regulates all of the inflammatory stuff and upregulates the production of SOD, superoxide dismutase, and glutathione. And this is something that is going to benefit really every cell in your body. So it's just really wonderful that we can do it. It's really wonderful that it's in our power to do that and not just be at the behest of time, the passing of time. Okay. Okay. Glutathione tends to be found in high concentrations in cells, although some is also found to a lesser degree in the extracellular space and the mitochondria. Meanwhile, 95% of the melatonin in your body is concentrated within the mitochondria and inside the cells. Frank Schallenberger, and I had Dr. Frank Schallenberger, and I have his video, a link to that. He's got a really great one hour video on melatonin and cancer. Fascinating. If you're interested, you will love it. But he says, talking about glutathione, he says, people say glutathione is the highest antioxidant. He goes, melatonin, he says is the highest. He says glutathione's here, but he says melatonin's up here. And so you've got these kinds of things happening, and you want to keep making sure. Glutathione, when it comes to mitochondrial energy, glutathione is a shield against, an antioxidant shield against damage to the mitochondria. So that's where you're going to see, you want to see it in the cells, but you also want to see it in the extracellular space. So within the cells, the other parts of the cells, very high concentration, mitochondria is within the cell, right? And then the extracellular space. So you've got this shield that's preventing more free radicals from actually damaging the mitochondria themselves and the cells in general. So they all work together. The mitochondria, picture of mitochondria there. Melatonin also removes free radicals and prevents the degeneration of the mitochondria. And why this is so important is because mitochondria are really the center of the action within a cell. In other words, there's strong evidence that aging, frailty of aging, senescence of cells as we age, relate to molecular damage at the level of the mitochondria. And melatonin seems to be very efficient at protecting mitochondria from that damage. And more, the potential of, and again, all of these things where you see them highlighted, and I'm going to be opening several of them in a little bit because that's what I have is like lists. The potential influence of melatonin on mitochondrial quality control. And this, I think I'll just read that paragraph briefly. Mitochondria are critical for cellular energetic metabolism, intracellular signaling orchestration, and programmed death regulation. Therefore, mitochondrial dysfunction is associated with various pathogeneses. Okay, so lots of different health issues. The maintenance of mitochondrial homeostasis, so keeping that balance and functioning the way it's supposed to, and functional recovery after injury are coordinated by mitochondrial biogenesis, dynamics, and autophagy, getting rid of the ones that aren't functioning properly, which are collectively referred to as mitochondrial quality control. There is increasing evidence that mitochondria are important targets for melatonin to exert protective effects under pathological conditions of disease. Melatonin, an evolutionary conserved tryptophan metabolite, there you go, with the evolutionary, can be synthesized, transported, and metabolized in mitochondria. In this review, we summarize the important role of melatonin in the damaged mitochondria elimination and mitochondrial energy supply recovery by regulating mitochondrial quality control, which may provide new strategies for clinical treatment of mitochondria-related diseases. It's huge. Melatonin, you can see why I say key to optimal health, because really with low melatonin, so many systems are affected, and I'm just about to get into those. Okay. Here we have the sun. Mitochondrial melatonin production is one of the reasons why regular sun exposure is so crucial. So this is really another eye opener. Most people understand that sun exposure or bare skin generates vitamin D, courtesy of UVB, ultraviolet B radiation. Few, however, understand that the near infrared spectrum, when hitting your skin, triggers the generation of melatonin in your mitochondria. So we make melatonin at night in the pineal gland in response to darkness, but it's the daylight, it's light from the sun that helps us produce melatonin in the mitochondria. I say. I recently talked about the many dangers of sunscreen use in another program, and that if you want to see that program, that's there. This is another plug for managing sun exposure wisely. Do you want to get burnt to a crisp? No. Do you want to get sunburned? No. But you want to deal with that by minimizing your sun exposure as you're getting used to it, keeping sure that you're flooding yourself with antioxidants. This is the whole cool thing. Interesting that sunburn happens when antioxidant reserves run low. Remember when I talked about that? The sign that you're getting a burn is like you've used up all your antioxidants. And I was talking about, okay. And melatonin, arguably the very highest of all, depends on the sun's rays for its very production. I recommend my Wondrous Skin PM cream with added melatonin for people going in for radiation therapy because melatonin itself is such a burn blocker. So along with other antioxidants, but melatonin hugely is. In fact, I go down and talk about that in, let's see, right here. Our melatonin, our skin cream for the nighttime, but you can use it during the day and it won't put you to sleep at night during the day because it's not, melatonin isn't soporific. It works in response to nighttime, but it's really great for the skin during the day. So this is years ago, this is how I got the idea to do this, because in a paper published in the medical journal Endocrine on the role of melatonin in skin physiology and pathology, the authors conclude, therefore we would propose that melatonin synthesized locally or delivered topically could counteract or buffer external environmental or internal stresses to preserve the biological integrity of the organ and to maintain its homeostasis, its health. Furthermore, melatonin could have a role in protection against solar radiation or even in the management of skin diseases. And so there you go. Again, it's very interesting, but we need sun in balance, right? We need sun to make mitochondrial melatonin in the first place. So all things in moderation. This extreme, stay out of the sun and slather yourself with sunscreen. We talked about many problems there. Not a good idea. Functions of melatonin. Melatonin plays a role in a surprising number of areas of health. So let's take a look. Functions of melatonin. Wow, affects the release of sex hormones, aids the immune system, acts as an antioxidant. We've talked about blocks estrogen from binding to receptor sites. So very good for breast cancer, ovarian cancer prevention, protection. We're going to get into melatonin and cancer in a little bit too. But it has that effect, prostate cancer. Really excellent for that because it acts as a natural estrogen blocker. Decreased elevated cortisol levels, the stress hormone, helps balance the stress response, helps prevent cancer and treat some cancers, improves mood, improves sleep quality, stimulates the parathyroid gland, is cardioprotective, heart and cardiovascular system, stimulates the production of growth hormone, which is something that we start to make less of as we age as well. Decreases the risk of heart disease, promotes healthy cholesterol levels, regulates skin pigmentation, relieves jet lag, dilates and contracts blood vessels, inhibits the release of prolactin, follicle stimulating hormone, and luteinizing hormone as they should, when they should be, right? Not, it doesn't go in and like affect their normal functions. Inhibits the release of insulin from the beta cells in the pancreas as needed. Protects skin cells against UV damage. Other benefits. Melatonin has also been reported to relieve acid reflux, promote eye health, alleviate tinnitus. That's pretty cool. Relieve symptoms of seasonal affective disorder, very much the case there. And relieve symptoms of alcohol use disorder. Other benefits for endometriosis, high blood pressure, migraines, cancer, TMJ, thrombocytopenia, sunburns with topical application. We were just talking about that. What might tell me I need more melatonin? There are several signs and symptoms that might indicate a need for more melatonin. And I would just say, preface this to say that you have, these are a lot of signs and symptoms, and that you have them might not be related in your case to low melatonin, but might. So again, it's one of those things that you just say, wow, you know, this is a lot of things. It's kind of like when I was looking at the topic of methylation in the past, kind of like, you know, it's almost like what isn't there with folate metabolism error. But anyway, insomnia, fatigue, anxiety, depression, early morning awakening, interrupted sleep, stress, increased risk of cancer, seasonal affective disorder, immunological disorders, heart disease, menopausal changes, neurological disease, cancer, menstrual irregularities, elevated estrogen to progesterone ratio. I've talked about that quite a bit in recent times. Headaches, concentration problems, restlessness, mood changes, irritable bowel, premature aging, jet lag, cardiovascular disease. We already kind of went through that. High blood pressure, daytime drowsiness, weight gain, obesity, lower antioxidant levels, of course, and diabetes. Causes, some common causes of melatonin deficiency in the population: age, stress, shift work, or jet lag, like shift work where you're not sleeping at night when it's dark. That's for the pineal melatonin. As we age, the pineal gland becomes less able to produce melatonin, which can result in decreased sleep quality. I would also like to say, there is no negative feedback loop. That was established by Russell Reiter, spent like 50 years researching, and I meant to put his book in there, one of his books as a link, because it's very fascinating. But if you watch the video by Frank Schallenberger on melatonin and cancer therapy, high dose melatonin and cancer therapy, he refers to Russell Reiter a lot. And he started reading works of Russell Reiter, and then he got in touch with Russell Reiter, and they formed a great relationship. And he talks quite a bit about that. But Russell Reiter is like probably the preeminent source today on melatonin and health. But he says it's absolutely not true that there's a negative feedback loop. So you might be online looking and see, oh, if you take melatonin supplements, you're not going, it's going to keep you from making your own melatonin. That isn't true. So there's no worry there. So anyway, as we age, we make less. So we just take some. Stress can also impact the production of melatonin, as cortisol levels can interfere with the body's natural sleep patterns. Yes, so elevated cortisol at night can wake you up like around 3 o'clock, like the adrenal glands being out of sync. Blue light exposure from electronic devices can also impact the body's ability to produce melatonin. And poor diet or certain medications may interfere with the production of this important hormone. And you can look there. Melatonin deficiency, common symptoms and causes. So let's talk about blue light. I got all, aggravated. I would say angry, at the government telling us we can't purchase incandescent light bulbs. We've got to use these LED lights because they're so good for the environment. And that's all really that seems to matter at this point in time with the government, but or one of the major things that seems to matter. But it's blue light is like it's really important part of the light spectrum. It's hugely important and very good for us and super important, but you need the full spectrum of light to get the full benefit health from light. And so you don't want in your house at night when your lights are on and your lamps and your lights to all have this one dynamic, one part of the spectrum, blue light. But anyway, I digress. Well, no, I didn't. I mean, that's important. Blue light affects the production of the hormone melatonin, which is best known as the hormone regulating sleep. When the eyes are exposed to blue light, it sends a signal to the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, which regulates the body's internal clock. This signal suppresses the production of melatonin, which can help to increase alertness and reset the body's circadian rhythm to be more awake and active during the day. So that's good because during the day, the full spectrum light you're getting from outdoors is very rich in blue light, but it's also got red light and it's also got other of the light spectrum, the full spectrum of the light, but it's very rich in blue light. So blue light isn't nasty in itself. It's the blue light at the wrong time when nature, it isn't that way in nature. So at night, there's, except for electronic devices and these silly light bulbs, there is very little blue light. So when blue light exposure decreases, such as in the evening or at night, the production of melatonin increases, which signals to the body that it's time to sleep. This is why it's important to limit exposure to blue light at night, particularly from electronic devices like smartphones and computers, as this can disrupt the production of melatonin and interfere with the body's natural sleep-wake cycles. I think I'm going to do something on the spectrum of light. I think that would be really interesting because there's a lot of confusion there too. And that really does affect health. So anyway, I like this. I always love these graphs, how we begin to make less melatonin and when we begin those levels begin to decline. Safely replenishing melatonin levels, a key to robust health. So let's start right in on cancer. Cancer is a big problem today, as you well know. If you haven't dealt with cancer yourself, or you definitely know several people, I'm sure, in your circle of people who do have or are dealing with cancer. It works to prevent cancer on several different levels. In that video by Frank Schallenberger, which again, I highly recommend you take time to look at if you're interested. Schallenberger pinpoints 8 different ways that melatonin fights cancer. Very fascinating. Making melatonin supplementation a terrific addition to a daily health regimen, and specifically where cancer is concerned. But one might say, of course, do this preventatively. Isn't it much better to do these things before you end up with a diagnosis? It's great that melatonin can help prevent cancer, help fight cancer and prevent cancer metastasis by the spreading of cancer, but don't get your cancer in the first place. The metabolic anti-cancer effects of melatonin and clinically relevant prospects. So simple summary, metabolic reprogramming is required for both malignant transformation and tumor development, including invasion, and metastasis. Melatonin is a methoxyindole that is released, synthesized in the pineal gland. Importantly, melatonin has anti-cancer effects by stimulating apoptosis. That's programmed cell death. So you must kill yourself before you can make another nasty one like yourself. Is the way I like to describe that. Regulation of survival signaling. So you've got cancer cells they're robust. They are very crafty. And they've got survival signaling, right? They've got a way to survive. So it's regulating that in a good way on behalf of us, of the person, the host who has the cancer. Suppression of metastasis. Okay, so the suppression of the cancer spreading, and angiogenesis, the formation of a new blood supply to the cancerous tumor, right? They're like, we need nourishment. We need that glucose, anything that's hanging out there in the body, we need it. Oh, by the way, that's one of the big ways melatonin works in cancer, is that melatonin uses the same GLUT receptor pathway to enter the cells, and the cancer cells use to access glucose, which feeds them. And so Schallenberger would take people with cancer and give them insulin to bring their blood sugar levels down really, really low. And then in that low state of blood sugar in the body, give a very high dose of melatonin. And the melatonin, the GLUT receptors now would be popping out of the cancer cells like, feed me, feed me, feed me. And they'd suck in the melatonin, and the melatonin would then kill them. So anyway, so angiogenesis is the, again, the tumor forming a new providing itself with more, what do I want to say, nourishment. Let's see if I can still see. Okay. Excuse me for that. Angiogenesis, a regulation of epigenetic modifications that contribute to malignant transformation. Okay, epigenetics, again. So like I've talked about that, like I give the example of glutathione. Glutathione raises P53. P53 is an enzyme, genetic enzyme that is tumor suppressive. So there are different things. I've talked about butyrate doing that. Iodine in estrogen receptors helps with prevent that changing of the DNA, so that you're becoming oncogenic and inviting the development of cancer, formation of cancers. So it has an effect on epigenetics as well. So if the idea would be, if you have plenty of melatonin, you're helping block malignant transformation. Furthermore, melatonin affects steps. Oh, there's P53 right there. Steps associated with the Warburg phenotype, and suppresses the switch from oxidative phosphorylation to aerobic glycolysis through the regulation of critical enzymes and glucose transporters. Melatonin is involved in regulation of P53. I hadn't actually noticed that before I gave you that example. But P53, again, one of the top tumor suppressor entities in the body. Directly participating in signaling cascades that modulate aerobic blah, 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 blah. This is how it all works. Okay, a significant impact of melatonin in the modulation of metabolic cascades represents a unique opportunity to inhibit pathways metabolic reprogramming. So metabolic reprogramming, again, is what the cells need to do to become cancerous and to start to form, to take hold. So a significant impact of melatonin in the modulation of metabolic cascades. So stopping that, that being able to take place through a multitude of ways here. So melatonin in cancer, I'm going to open most of these probably and just look at them briefly. Anti-cancer effects of melatonin, clinically relevant prospects. And that's what I just actually was looking at, that particular one. I read the simple. Current knowledge and future opportunities. Melatonin is, let me enlarge that a little bit. Melatonin is a pleiotropic molecule with numerous biological activities. Epidemiological and experimental studies have documented that melatonin could inhibit different types of cancer in vitro, in the lab, in the test tube, and in living organisms. Results show the involvement of melatonin in different anti-cancer mechanisms, including apoptosis induction, cell proliferation inhibition, stopping the cells from multiplying, reduction in tumor growth and metastases, reduction in the side effects associated with chemotherapy and radiotherapy, decreasing drug resistance in cancer therapy, and augmentation of the therapeutic effects of conventional anti-cancer therapies, along with glutathione. Melatonin used if you're doing normal standard mainstream medical care, oncology, chemotherapy, radiation, etc. You are helping those things work better and shielding yourselves from the side effects. So win-win there. It's not like, oh, I have to do this or that. No, you don't. Clinical trials reveal that melatonin is an effective adjuvant drug to all conventional therapies. This review summarized melatonin synthesis available from natural sources anyway. Studies discussed in this review will provide a solid foundation for researchers and physicians to design and develop new therapies to treat and prevent cancer using melatonin. And these are all, this is scientific, so the argument there are no studies. This is why I love using studies and the things I'm sharing with people. Melatonin for, here it says melatonin could be an excellent candidate for the prevention and treatment of several cancers, such as breast cancer, prostate cancer, gastric cancer, and colorectal cancer. This review summarized the anti-cancer effects of melatonin based on the results of epidemiology. It just is a little disgusting that that this isn't being used in the mainstream. At least nobody I'm working with who has cancer has had anybody, their oncologist, recommend. This is published in 2017. And of course, this has been known before then. Melatonin, okay. Pancreatic cancer, pancreatic, lung cancer. You can look at any of these later. We're running a little short on time. Melatonin in breast cancer, triple negative breast cancer, so not just its hormonal effect. Melatonin inhibits lipid accumulation to repress prostate cancer progression. Melatonin improves care. We were just talking about that. There's that. If you click on that, you'll go right to the YouTube. I'm going to have to try to link that again. I'll do it before I put this out there. That's a good reminder to me. That was supposed to be linked. Melatonin in neurodegenerative diseases. So again, a little short on time, but melatonin therapy in patients with Alzheimer's disease, melatonin levels in Alzheimer's disease continuum, a systematic review, melatonin in Alzheimer's disease and other neurodegenerative disorders, melatonin in Alzheimer's disease. Prophylactic melatonin significantly reduces Alzheimer's neuropathology and associated cognitive deficits independent of antioxidant pathways. So working in ways that don't have anything to do with the antioxidant potential there. This is huge. Like who do you know with Alzheimer's is taking melatonin or has been advised to do that? It's just very frustrating. And here we have the therapeutic potential of melatonin and its analogs in Parkinson's disease. Focuses on sleep and neuroprotection, mechanism of beneficial effect of melatonin in experimental Parkinson's disease. Melatonin protects against neurobehavioral and mitochondrial deficits in a chronic mouse model of Parkinson's disease. Please, it's like, why not? It's so good for you and all other things. Melatonin and COVID-19 specifically. Melatonin is a potential adjuvant that you might want to really go in here. This is like huge. Why is nothing ever, do you ever hear about this? Melatonin used for SARS-CoV-2 infection. Time to diversify the treatment portfolio. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is Journal of Medical Virology. This is not some weird hokey blog somewhere written by somebody like me. I mean, these are studies. Mechanisms and clinical evidence to support melatonin's use in severe COVID-19 patients to lower mortality. Melatonin drugs inhibit SARS-CoV-2 entry into the brain and virus-induced damage of cerebral small vessels, stroke. Melatonin produced in the lungs prevents infection by COVID-19, right? And mitochondrial melatonin produced in the lungs is mitochondrial melatonin, right? And when you take melatonin exogenously, right, from the outside, then you are actually going to be affecting your lungs as well. Melatonin miscellaneous in heart failure, age-related cardiovascular diseases, melatonin in the immune system, psoriasis, melatonin in ulcerative colitis, melatonin in respiratory diseases, melatonin in prevention of age-related macular degeneration, a common eye problem today, and serious. Advancing role of melatonin in treatment of neuropsychiatric disorders, an insight into the scientific background and future perspectives for the potential uses of melatonin. That's kind of cool. Melatonin potentiates the effect of metformin on glucose metabolism and food intake in high-fat fed diets. Melatonin in chronic kidney disease. Can melatonin put your chronic pain to sleep? An insight into the scientific background and future perspectives for the potential uses of melatonin. How to use supplemental melatonin. Let me just see. So I've supplied it. You can do it any way you want, but this is like the most cost-effective way I know of, because each little scoop, you can't see the scoop, but it's super tiny, has 60 milligrams, and there's 84 servings of 60 milligrams in there. So for health purposes and depending on the person, I typically recommend 60 to 180 milligrams nightly. This is largely based on the work of Russell Ryder. Again, you can increase melatonin in the mitochondria using melatonin supplementation, and I talked about that. So then to summarize, melatonin is a hormone we make in our bodies, but we make less of it as we age. Melatonin deficiency results in a vast number of health issues. Melatonin can be increased in the body via supplementation, and melatonin supplementation does not impair the body's ability to make melatonin, and there is no toxicity. And then voila, thank you. And I think that's it. I'm going to stop my share. If anybody has any questions, you can always email me. You can reach out to me from my websites too. Those come to my email. Thank you, Connie. I'm glad that you found that. I love doing it this way. I've really enjoyed putting together presentations that now are there that you can go back and refer to in a more solid way than my many newsletters, and where to find those. And then also with the informational pages on the website that are there as well to support. But yeah, knowledge is power. If we know this stuff, we can really maintain a much better level of health. We can prevent a plethora of diseases, things that we might think, well, I guess it's just, maybe I'll get this, maybe I won't. I hope I don't. I hope this doesn't happen to me. Don't hope. It's a book I know I've seen, I haven't read, called Hope is Not a Strategy. You got to have a strategy. And, the ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, but we can't do anything if we don't know these things. So I want to thank you all for being with me today. And again, I will put out a newsletter later on. Once this is up and available on my website, I'll put out another email letting you know that that's ready in case you want to share it, see it again, or refer back to. Okay, take care, everyone. Happy holiday weekend. Happy Labor Day. I hope you have a great time, whatever you're doing. Bye.